Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine flying solo today. As you know, when the news starts quieting down and things turn to baseball season, panelists are really less likely to show up this time of the year. But that's okay. I've been doing this for 19 years. And hey, I got some things that I want to talk about today. And I want to take some of the attitudes that I'm reading on social media from Cleveland Browns fans and put them in a proper perspective. And I think sometimes a reality check is necessary. So, with that as an introduction, I will go. These are all things that you've heard, you've read, that I have an answer to. Here's the first one. I'm no longer a Browns fan because Deshaun Watson is on the team. That one I read a lot. My answer, and this is simple. I could be like, ask Mr. Moohead. I could be like Dear Abby or Ann Landers or all the other advice columnists or Dr. Phil. I'm no longer a Browns fan because Deshaun Watson's on the team. Mr. Moohead's response, there are 52 other players on the roster. Suck it up, snowflake. You never were a fan. All right, let me expound on this. This notion that I'm no longer a Browns fan. Suck my dick, okay? You wouldn't be talking about it on social media. Now, if you broke up with your girlfriend, you wouldn't be standing on her front porch yelling, I'm not thinking about you. I'm not thinking about you. What in the fuck's the matter with you people? Suck it up. It's just a game. And don't tell us about, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be a Browns fan anymore. Well, go. It's like a little kid, in a grocery store. I'll hold my breath if I don't get that candy cane. It's like, fuck you, you little twerp. Pass out. I don't give a shit. You're not getting the candy cane. I'm waiting for a bunch of people on social media to turn purple and pass out. And then what we can do, that would make them more attractive to Trevor Bauer. And then we can have Trevor give them a visit. Number 2 comment, and this also sounds like a David Letterman bit, doesn't it? I'm a Browns fan, but if Watson can't play, I'm out of here. That one I hear as well. I love my Browns, but if they jettison him from the league, if they suspend him, I'm out of here. I'm done. Let me get this straight. You've sat through Whedon and Manziel and Jason Campbell and Deshaun Kaiser, and the list could go on interminably. Why now? Why quit when you're on a roll? If Watson can't play, I'm out of here. Watson shouldn't play. Get out of here. It's real aggravating, At least for me it is, reading this stuff. It's like, these people are really fucking stupid. Oh, got some hellos to say. Let me say some hellos while we're doing this. I don't know that I do care about my viewers. Ron, good to see you. I. We'll talk about that. Yeah, the Guardians are worth talking about, kind of. They're above 500 anyway. Small hand towel. Even the big bath towel doesn't begin to cover me. I'm long and I'm strong. I'm going to get the friction. I'm sorry. I do get carried away. If they turn purple, do they become Viking fans? We'll talk about the Vikings in just a minute, too, believe it or not. So you are prescient. That's not an insult. Rick knows what it means. Yes, these were the good old days. You know, if Watson's not going to play, I'm done. Spurgeon win. Spoojon win. Yeah, that would be. Make that stop. Do you know how many bad quarterbacks I've watched in Cleveland? Year after year. I've been doing this show for 19 years. Please. If this guy isn't it, if this guy isn't it, he's not it, okay? Just want to make that clear to a few people. We'll get into that more, too. Here's another one. You've heard it so many times. I'm sure you're sitting back and enjoying this. I'm so tired of the Browns browsing. This is going to be my last year. Word derivation. The word browsing dates back to 1999. Before then, it didn't exist. Randy Lerner and Jimmy Haslam, that's what browsing means. All right? So that you don't have to come up with this browsing. No. Randy Lerner and Jimmy Haslam. All right? The autistic one and the stupid one. These two guys could not win under any circumstance that I can imagine. To those fans who are so tired of the Browns browsing that this is going to be my last year, God bless you. And I hope you find a better way of spending your Sundays, because honest to God, these guys ain't never going to win. Please make it stop, dear God. Jimmy Haslam, just look in his face. He could make anything worse. Anything. Here's another one. And I'll be back to the chat room reading your comments. If Watson gets a long suspension, it's only because he's a Brown. Heard that one too. First of all, he deserves league punishment. Hello, McFly. He also needs some kind of help. As far as the outcome of the suspension, Rusty Hardin will have something to do with this, and not for the better. I thought it was a good idea to bring up the free handy. Thank you. Thank you, Rusty. We all appreciate an 80-year-old man's opinion. Now, do you realize if that son of a bitch went to the place that Robert Kraft went to, they'd still be working on him and nothing would have happened? What does he know about happy endings? Except that his clients don't get them, and B, that he does because he gets paid. Oh, I do have one more. And I hear this all the time, too. Because there's the people who it's like, if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, it's just not worth watching. We already went over those people. Here's this one. Watson's a rapist, and that's all there is to it. He should never play again. Rich Eisen. Remember when he was somebody? Now he's on the Peacock network? What the fuck? Does NBC still regard themselves as the Peacock network? That was like 50, 60 years ago. This show is in living color on NBC. Please make it stop. Watson's a rapist. Rape, rapist, rape. Anyway, you know, Rapinski. That's all there is. You can't, I can't hear what you're saying. He's a rapist. All right. I got a real good answer for you, dickwads. Real good answer. Here's the deal. Next week, we're going to put your girlfriend in a room with a guy laying on a table jerking off. All right? And the week afterwards, we're going to put her in the same room with a guy that rapes her. Then we'll let her describe the difference to you. Okay? Is that fair? I mean, you are the very thing that is as bad as what you're accusing the guy of. My mind is made up. He's a rapist. You don't even know what rape is, man. Why don't you go to fucking prison and bend over in front of a lifer? Then you'll find out exactly what rape is. Stop redefining words. Stop comparing people to Nazis and concentration camps, and quit referring to the Holocaust. Stop it. 6 people getting killed is not a Holocaust like 6 million. Okay? I'm so tired of the polarized thought process of absolute fucking morons. It's unbelievable. I'm going to go back to the chat room. Hey, Keyblade, how you doing? I just hope all the people who think that Baker is an elite quarterback follow him out of Cleveland and go where he ends up. There's another one for you. But Baker was our savior. No. It's like, he's the savior that nobody wants, you know? It's like if Jesus came back to earth, people go, no, hell no. No, we don't want him. Oh, the walking on water thing, it is a stunt. I saw David Copperfield do that. That's not the Son of God. Yeah, I mean, but Baker got screwed. It's like, he's got money that you're never going to see in your life, you stupid putz. I mean, he's got all the commercials, the endorsements, and they owe him $18.8 million. They got to pay him more money than you're ever going to see. And even if you believe in an afterlife and you believe that you can come back, you could keep coming back and back and back and back and not make as much money as Baker Mayfield has. So shut the fuck up. If Baker is good enough to land on his feet and land a team to the promised land, he will do it. And if not, it isn't because of, this is all in his hands. He's just got to play good football. And if he's capable of doing that, good for him. He'll win. What else, Keyblade? What else you got? Yes, Jacoby Brissett is 14-23 as a starter. I don't think he was brought in to play a full season. I do believe the intention was to let Jacoby play 4 to 8 games until Watson came back, not 17 games. Boy, I think people would, Browns fans are going, God, do you remember when we used to talk about a 4-game suspension? It's like, not going to happen. That's who your quarterback is. Is he better than Colt McCoy? He's faster. I want you to put more things in the chat room so I can answer. This is Ask Dr. Moohead. If you have something that you feel that you want to get out of your souls about the Cleveland Browns, do it now. I'll answer you. You can tell that I'm in a highly, highly intelligent mode today. Hey, Bronk, how you doing? He's not ready to talk yet, but he will.
Hello.
Hey, there he is. How you doing, Bronk?
Tired.
Right.
Tired. I'm also bored, too. Is that like a common response to this whole Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Browns? I am fucking bored. What advice do you give to me?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's numbing. You know, it's
I'm tired of it. I don't even want to listen to this, but I'm showed up, but I don't even want to be here,
well, the reason I'm doing this is to purge all of this because
heal the
exactly,
power of Moohead.
Yeah.
Heal.
It's I keep looking at Watson is no Winslow, just saying. Thanks, Dactar. That makes us all feel better.
There.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride my bike and
Oh, that video clip of him driving around the Tri-C parking lot is one of the most Browns things ever. If we're gonna talk about Browns things, Kellen Watson or Kelvin, whatever his name is, Kellen, whatever his name is, doing endos in the Tri-C parking lot.
Yeah. I want more things in the chat room that Browns fans say. Oh, here's another one. Maybe if I just don't watch, it'll get better because whenever I tune in, it gets worse. And it's like, wow.
I hear that in England for fans here. They can't watch their team that they support because they always lose when they go watch. Yeah, that's a ridiculous comment.
It's one of those things that really questions the mental fitness of somebody. But again, I'm going to make this very clear. If you watch anything that Jimmy Haslam has anything to do with, it's going to lose. The guy turned his trucking company into a laughingstock. And you can sit there and say, Deshaun Watson's a rapist, rape, Every time I say that, the insects run. And I'm not enunciating well enough.
Grade.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm old enough to get that.
That's right. I mean, we test people generationally on the program. I think that's important.
And spiritually, too, I think. We test them spiritually on here.
Yeah, so everyone's going to sit there and it's like, it's all a Deshaun Watson thing. Who brought us Deshaun Watson?
Jimmy Haslam, I think.
That's exactly right. The same guy who wanted to take a shot at Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, it's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's not anyone's fault. Jimmy Haslam's fault.
Well, I mean, what do you want me to tell you? It's like, oh, isn't that Browns? It's like, look at what's happening around the league. Now the Spanos family is having a massive argument about the Chargers, and this lawsuit is getting uglier by the day. Now, this isn't being publicized too much. Chargers don't win anything either, by the way.
No, they don't. They've not won anything. But if the Vikings have the record for most years without winning a championship, they've never won one.
That's right, never. But that's the way the NFL likes it. It's really, it's wonderful when the Vikings just keep changing head coaches and keeping them around for 4 years and keeping lame-armed quarterbacks out there and perpetually drafting running backs that can't run and go nowhere and spin their wheels in the mud. That is great because the NFL doesn't even have to do anything. They just let them play. And the people in Minnesota, it's like, it's either that or ice fishing. I know ice fishing's bigger than the Vikings. But if they get close to a 500 record, hey, now we can go ice fishing and at least smile. We win about half of our games.
Where is Adrian Peterson nowadays? Is he still whipping his child?
No, he's in trouble again with the law.
Oh, now there's a good citizen.
Yeah, right. And nobody wants to talk about, like, there have never been bad guys in the NFL before.
No, never.
It's like, and now they say that the Texans were complicit in this because they were basically providing him with, the the document that the women had to sign, right?
Oh,
I mean,
what he had them sign NDAs?
yes. The accusation is that the head of security of the Houston Texans drew up an NDA. Yeah, I'm serious. Is that here you go. Here you go, Bucky. You get him to sign that and you're in the clear.
Well, see, the way NDAs work is that you're not even supposed to mention that you have an NDA. I mean, even the fact that you have an NDA, you're not supposed to mention it.
Well, that would be too smart. You're not dealing, and look at the Texans. What have they won?
About as much as the Vikings, if not less.
I mean, they're a nothing organization. Nobody cares. I mean, the organizations will bury themselves. Don't you see, whether you're a fan or not, whether you're watching or not, whether you think that he's a rapist or you think that he's getting screwed because he's a Cleveland Brown, it all doesn't matter because they're self-destructive organizations. Just like the Washington Redskins and the New York Jets, they can just keep on drafting away. And but who brought this guy to us? Well, it was Jimmy Haslam, because he needed a quarterback at all costs. and you got all costs. Stupid fuck.
You mentioned the Redskins. I didn't know they existed. I thought they were the Washington Commies or.
Oh, I'm so sick of that too. I'm so sick of fucking changing language, How is she doing? Well, no, she doesn't like to be referred to as she. She's they. It's like, well, how many of there are her? I'm real, confused about a lot of things.
Yeah, it's just because we're old. We're old, man. That's why. If we're 40 years younger, we'd probably still not understand this. But anyway.
And now, Tyrod Taylor is 41 and 36 in his career. Sean is 28 and 26. Tyrod actually has a higher winning percentage. It's let's spin the big wheel on Wheel of Fortune. I mean, let's be honest. The Texans are terrible. The Browns are terrible because their ownership makes bad decisions. And the thing is that they tear down their own rebuilds. It's really remarkable. I don't know how people do this.
I don't know, man.
So, yeah.
What about this rogue golf Saudi thing that's going on over here? With the golf tournament.
Oh yeah. I mean, now DeChambeau is going over to the tour. I'm switching a quick gear because I'm being asked a question. I want you to know that I do read all the sports news, but most of it's not fit to print, at least on this program. But it's what would we do? We would do something like this, I suppose. Wait a minute. Oh. Who would have thought that the Saudis, of all people, who can't even grow grass, would end up with a golf tour? I'm Peter Alice. All right.
Actually, they can grow grass. What they do is they dry up all of their groundwater. I mean, just because they got loads of oil, they also have loads of water underneath the ground, but they're pulling all that out to irrigate, and the whole country's going to collapse. I mean, you can look this shit up. I'm giving facts here, but yeah, that's what they do. That's how they grow things in Saudi. They drag out all their groundwater till there isn't any left.
Wait a sec here. I'm seeing there were a lot more comments. I have to keep my promise.
People commenting. Why?
Why? Because it's of interest. Hey, as of right now, Mr. Cow, how long do you think the suspension will be? I'm thinking
Oh,
full season. And my answer is, honestly, I don't want this asshole on the street until we get the explanation in a trial and the women who've made the formal accusations come up with the hard goods. And once we get the hard goods and it turns out to be what they are saying, I don't want to see them. I don't want that. I mean, there are people who are quarterbacks like Jeff George who were not well liked by his teammates.
yeah.
But this is a person who needs help. I hope you understand that. That if it was 66 over 17 months, you can figure it out. That's basically one a week. And for a guy who's traveling a lot and working a lot during the course of the season, and you have to figure he actually got the real massage work done inside the Texans facility. I wonder if they had to sign NDAs too.
Here's a question that I don't know the answer to. I don't know
Sure.
whether anybody does. Deshaun Watson, does he have like a girlfriend or a wife? Or, I mean, is that even has anybody even asked that? I mean, what would, and then what would be her opinion about all this?
Well, I don't think she'd be his girlfriend anymore.
You'd think not, wouldn't you? But stranger things are out there in the world.
Well, I mean, it depends with the $230 million contract, which is the other thing that, this is what Jimmy Haslam,
our
thinks.
buddy, Jimmy.
Woo! I'll tell you something, folks. I'm a Tennessee boy, and I got brains. I got brains, right? Wait a minute. Well, they're somewhere around here. And let me tell you what I've done. I can back out of this contract. And then I will have really fucked my team up. Woohoo! Yeah, I'll tell you. I pissed off the other quarterback. He's done. I turned 3-4 years of potential promise into Jacoby Brissett. Woo! But I'm not going to get stuck with the $230 million. No! And that's what I want people who are complaining about Deshaun Watson and complaining about all this other stuff. Jimmy Haslam is going to continue to make money, just like Daniel Snyder does, like the Spanos family does, just like every losing organization, Ziggy Wilf and whoever.
Do you know why they keep making money? It's because idiots like me and millions of people around the world pay to watch this shit, either buy season tickets, buying merchandise, or buy international NFL Game Pass. And that's why they're going to continue on making money.
Yeah. You don't have to win. And the thing is, Jimmy's trying. That's the scariest part. It's like Huey Jackson.
He's doing his best.
Trying to win. Hugh Jackson was trying to win.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part of it. It's like some people are just so dishonest, inept, and bozos that they just can't get it done. So, Mr. Rollup has a question. Why are the Browns being treated as if they were the only team that wanted Watson? Half the damn league tried to trade for him. But only the most incompetent landed him. But I mean, let's look at it honestly. It's like, woo, I know that this is self-destructive, but I'm going to be the one. Woohoo! Yeah, lots of teams wanted him. Not anymore. Yeah. The Texans didn't want him. They didn't play him. The Texans didn't want him. They just wanted it to go away. It's like, maybe it'll just quietly disappear.
That's kind of like what I want. I just want it to go away. I'm just bored, still bored.
I is saying, Schwartz claimed he was not 100% after the game one last year. Well, you want to know what I think of that? Oh, God. Can I just point my ass at the microphone and pass gas? I mean, I get so tired of Anthony Schwartz. I mean, this is from ClevelandBrowns.com, you know?
Oh, what? Did you have to pay for that? Did you have to pay for that?
No. A friendly site. Anthony Schwartz making lots of improvements in his offseason program, you know, and the first thing that he's improving is his health. Injury sidelined him. The second is experience. The third is confidence. All right. But then keep reading the story and you realize that somebody has a real sense of humor here.
Okay.
He totaled 10 catches for 135 yards and 1 touchdown last season. And he knows he'll need to increase that to fulfill the role that the Browns want him to have in year 2. The role hasn't been solidified yet, but the Browns believe that Schwartz, 21, can prove in training camp that he's ready to take over one of the top jobs. All right. He's working really hard, making a lot of improvements. And we have a list of things for all of our players that we prioritize. And he's done a good job with some of the areas we've targeted. Areas on Schwartz's list, according to the Browns, included more precise route running. In other words, knowing where in the fuck you're going. And improved catch abilities. He can't catch the ball. It's like, and the challenge for Schwartz, of course, will be to keep it up during mandatory mini camp and training camp when practice intensity increases and he becomes scared to run over the middle again and starts dropping passes again and then grabs his leg and goes, my hamstring. Here is what Anthony Schwartz says. Tell you make a comment in the chat room, you're going to get immediate response from Mr. Moohead today. Sometimes it's difficult. Today it's easy.
I think you should use, if you're going to do the Anthony Schwartz comment, you should use like a Gilbert Gottfried voice or something. You gotta give him a voice. You gotta give him a voice, you know?
Well, I can't go do because he's fast. I don't know what else I can say about him. Yeah, here's what Anthony Schwartz said. I've been trying to just catch every day. I've been able to come here and put it all together, and it also helps me knowing the playbook now. Why didn't you know it then?
Wow.
This is not a guy. He missed 3 games. This is a guy who was on the roster the whole season, and he missed 3 games. He was there for 14 fucking games.
Well, I think that they don't have the brightest people that come out of Auburn, do they? So,
anyway. You know what the worst part of it is? His best game was the first one of the season. He had 3 catches for 69 yards, including a 44-yard deep ball. And that was it. It's like, good night, everybody. That's it. Finished. So that's what we're going to expect from Anthony Schwartz. I hope that addresses what you were talking about, I. We were the only team dumb enough to back up a dump Trump? I don't think you mean that. Dump Trump. Don't get me started. Filled with cash for a guy with unresolved legal issues. Well, if you're Jimmy Haslam, legalities don't ever get in your way.
Because they don't apply to you if you're Jimmy Haslam. Yeah.
And you're one of the 32, and nothing does. And I'll say this too. I forgot the other one. The people that this is the worst thing in the world. Deshaun Watson has committed this horrible crime. He's a rapist. He's a rapist. Yeah, that thing. It's like, what about Robert Kraft? All right. I just want to make I want to make one comparison, and not in the act itself. You know, I actually saw somebody defending Robert Kraft on the internet saying, well, the place he went to it was expected that that was what would happen, whereas these girls didn't know it was going to happen.
Wow, that sounds like the Chewbacca defense.
No, it don't make sense. Well, stop for a minute and think about what this turd for a brain was actually saying.
Okay.
That it's okay for him to pull up to a strip mall hand job Jack Shack that is employing illegal aliens against their will as part of a sex slave trade from Korea and China that can't even speak the language.
Yeah.
And he can forge his way to a happy ending. Yeah. And that's somehow better than Deshaun Watson. Now, if you're paying your money to keep people in slavery and bondage, that makes you kind of like an owner of a football team in the NFL.
Pretty much any owner.
But Moo, they're giving the girls money.
Yeah, like they ever see that money.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like they don't know how to speak the language. They never even see the light of day. Go on, read about it all online. It's all there. Municipalities being paid off by these Korean businessmen who have these damn things all over the country. You're paving the way, Bob Kraft, with your little American flag lapel pin. Yeah, fruit. Oh, this is what America stands for, is me getting jacked off by slaves. It's disgusting. Vile, but not to Rich Eisen. Not to Rich Eisen. Oh, here comes Derek Frisbee. Hi, Derek Frisbee.
Hello, Moohead Radio.
I am just on a roll today, man.
Yeah, like when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, on a roll.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, so these comparisons, I just can't stand that. How is, and let's take the women who are making the complaints. I'm going to put an ad up on Instagram and say, I do massages. All right? And 66, according to the New York Times, if we're to take their word for it, 66 received business from Deshaun Watson. And 24 of them, we don't know about the other 42, but 24 of them basically said, nah, that wasn't part of the deal, even though we've only heard really from 3 of them. Yeah. You don't really know what the full story is, but you advertise that kind of activity online, on Instagram, and I can guarantee you that of those 66, there was a percentage who just went for it. And they're not on this civil complaint because that's what they were there for, of their own free will, not because they were shipped off from a foreign country and they speak the language perfectly well. They took the money and they moved on. Don't compare this to Robert fucking Kraft.
I just want to know, it might be dumb on my part, but I just want to know, like, everyone's all in a panic and going wild, but, like, yeah, New York Times did put out the story and whatnot, but for people to be naive, in my opinion, to think that the NFL and the Browns didn't know this is, I just don't see why people are so upset. And kind of a Browns argument is, I think Roger Goodell knows this, and he still hasn't put Deshaun on the exempt list. So why aren't people upset with Goodell for not doing that?
They have the fucking investigation done. It is done and over with.
Exactly, yeah.
Why not make a fucking ruling? Why are you holding on to this, holding the evidence that you have? The NFL is doing their own, or has done their own private investigation. What happens if the NFL drops what their findings are and there's a bunch of new shit that nobody knew about?
Yeah,
and it's like people are freaking out.
The whole idea of them doing a ruling now, Derek, doesn't make sense with me either. I mean, it's like, well, I understand the civil case is separate from the NFL's chastity vow to be a pure organization that does nothing but tell the truth to people.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, we know
It's a
that.
bunch of shit from day one of the NFL.
Yeah, but again, why would they do this? And the answer is, well, they can stand up in the front row and say, "We're for women," and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now,
great track record, great track.
call me a cynic, but maybe they haven't decided yet because they're waiting for Jimmy Haslam to dump a truckload of money on Roger Goodell in the league office to keep everything quiet.
Well, no, I think there's a better explanation. They're waiting for Rusty Hardin to totally drown, kill, and paralyze his client by going out in front of the press and saying more incredibly ludicrous things. I have no idea. And, well, we've done our investigation and you've spoken to all of the women. I know you talked twice to Deshaun. Did you talk twice to each of the women? No, because this is our league standard. We're talking about personal conduct.
Well,
And let
isn't
me
it
remind
weird?
people what personal conduct means. Take a knee on the field and the national anthem. You're out of here and you're never playing again.
Yeah.
That is personal conduct. And if your personal conduct doesn't believe politically what the other 32 owners in the league believe, which is, ain't America a great country? I'm going to go out and get a hand job from a sex slave. If you don't believe those things, then you break the rules of personal conduct. And I think it's just incredible that a body like the NFL, whose personal conduct as an organization has been fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it just weird that the NFL puts out this? I guess the NFL didn't, but through back channels, they announced that the investigations have wrapped up. What is the point of allowing that to get out and then sitting on it for
Correct.
however long it's been? If they had come out and said, well, we're going to keep the investigation open, because new stuff seems to be coming out pretty rapidly, that would be different. Why announce it and do nothing? You're allowing this to sit there and brew and boil and just get hotter and hotter with every moment, every article. And by the way, if you want to investigate on your own, whatever newspaper organization, that's your choice. But at the same time, there are a lot of articles that are being recycled with new headlines. They are not new shit.
Yeah, I mean, the internet will just keep regurgitating stuff over and over again. And, and you're absolutely right. 14 teams were not after Watson, but you had to begin to wonder that when it's the Browns, the Panthers, and the Saints,
And the Falcons,
Falcons,
they
too.
were the
and
last.
the
It was
Falcons,
the Saints,
there's not a
Falcons, and Browns.
winner in the batch. These teams couldn't trip their way on acid to a happy place where they win. It couldn't happen. They don't win. Those were the teams that were the publicized teams that were after him, and they're all bow wow organizations. That's what I know.
And one thing I think that's the NFL is really struggling with to really pull out a ruling, and the NFLPA, the whole conduct thing, they say that for a sexual, like, I guess misconduct or whatever you want to call it, that for a first offense, that it's 6 games. And I think for the NFL, the PR piece has gotten so bad that if they just do what the rule book says and give them 6 games, you're going to have people who are going to be outraged. So I think it's going to be a tough thing for them to a legally binding thing between the NFL and the NFLPA for them to make a decision.
Tony, look at me, I'm Sandra D. Busby, is not an honest man himself. Go look up his record, go on his wiki, find out about what he did, and you'll understand. He ain't no white knight. He's got a job to do, and the reason he wants to bring the Texans in is more money for Tony Busby. If you think Tony Busby has any interest in any of these women who were harmed, wrong. He gets a percentage of the pie, and the bigger the pie is, the richer Tony gets.
And he was the only one who wanted to take this case. They went to a couple other different people, and he was the only one.
Because he knows he's dishonest. Look up his history. You'll already know. The truth doesn't mean a goddamn thing to him. But this is an opportunity, and he's doing what these guys do. You throw this stuff up, you get a huge storm brewing in the media, and you time out a couple of new people who were there all along, and you bring them out so it looks like it keeps getting worse and it keeps getting worse.
Exactly.
I had him strapped to the table, and he jumped off the table, and he was carrying the table on his back, jerking off. I mean,
but you know what, though? The NFL wants this to go on as long as possible because a lot of people do not know what's happening outside of Deshaun Watson. You have the not the Robert Kraft, I'm sorry. You have the John Gruden stuff that's still going on. You still have the owner in Washington. His shit's still going on. They're investigating emails and all of that shit that could really fuck up the NFL if it goes south. Because you know, and I know, and anybody listening to this knows, there's shit in those emails. And the NFL does not want that getting out. So the fact that the Browns have all this shit, and the Browns have been the placemat for the rest of the league for so many years, they're taking this opportunity to only talk about Deshaun, to throw all that other shit under the rug, and that's why you don't have a ruling. That's why there's articles being recycled and nothing new. I mean, it's the same shit with the Cleveland Browns for the last how many years, and they have this new opportunity now.
And here's Yuri-san. NDAs are a weird American thing. Most are not worth the paper they're written on. Why don't you talk to Donald Trump about that? The king of the NDA.
NDAs are everywhere, man.
Yeah.
They are everywhere.
With every woman that he has been with and his people, though, the difference is he had real, honest-to-God lawyers constructing these things ironclad. Not having the head of security of the Houston Texans scribble it down on a napkin for him. So there are ways of doing things, and if you have the money to do those things, and what it is, NDAs are just a way for somebody to do awful things and never have it come back at them.
And yes, all lawyers are crooks. All lawyers are crooks. It's a dirty game. So yeah, both sides can have their own problems. Yes.
You know,
I was just reading the comments. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, Yuri, no, I didn't see that Virginia pulled out of the stadium deal. So the Washington Football Commanders have no place to try and get a new stadium. They don't need a new stadium. They don't. Just keep playing in the same place and keep losing.
Have you seen their stadium? Fucking Jalen Hurts almost died because fans fell over and hit him. You got shit running through the lower deck. They need a new stadium, but they need a new owner first. The whole front office needs to be gutted, including him. I can't even remember his name, but
is it still called RFK Stadium? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. What is it called these days? We Never Win Stadium.
Isn't it FedEx? Or is that somebody else?
Yeah, that sounds like
that sounds like
right.
Probably right, yeah. Now, again, I knew that Ben Roethlisberger would come up. That's another one that Browns
Hooray.
fans use. And look, Ben Roethlisberger is a sick fuck. And I've said it before here on the show. It wasn't just that. The story about him and Trump is unbelievable. Trump introduces him to a lady friend, and girl wants nothing to do with Ben, who smells like fucking perspiration, and he can't read. And she wants Donald because Donald's got the cash. But Donald had better women than her. So he went and pawned the woman off on Roethlisberger and told Big Ben, go after it. And he did in a half-drunken state, went up to the woman's room, crying outside of her door that he wanted to get in. What a fucking sicko. What a fucking sicko.
What a loser.
I mean, so no, I hate him. I hate the Steelers, and I hate what Deshaun Watson's done. I ain't rolling with any of these people. It's wrong. The whole thing's wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody's saying he didn't do anything wrong. I think the only thing we're trying to say here is the standards and the fair treatment of all similar situations is just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, life isn't fair. Come on.
No, I know, but the NFL has a terrible track record,
Oh,
and that's
God,
the
yeah.
biggest thing here.
Yeah,
Look at the history of the suspensions. That's why everybody's saying no. It'll be a season. It'll be 10 games, 4 games. Nobody fucking knows. The NFL probably doesn't even know.
Well, that could, there could be a problem for certain contingent of Browns fans out there that are used to making fun of the Steelers, saying they got Ben Roethlisberger, and the Ravens, they got Ray Lewis, who's a murderer. And now when the shoe's on the other foot, that we've got some dodgy character on our team, then they can't handle the heat from the other fans.
Yeah.
And that's just being pussies. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, well, Scott, I don't disagree with you, and I think he has problems. I mean, when you're a public figure and you are a well-known athlete or musician or literary author, movie producer, Roman Polanski, Woody Allen,
Harvey Weinstein, yeah.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. The Woody Allen thing really rings kind of like this. It's like there's this sickness in these people, and they have this massive blind spot. You talk to Deshaun Watson, it's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't harm anybody.
Bill Cosby's still under investigation for stuff coming out. So
Watson is like, I even told the girls to duck if necessary.
Like, incoming.
Yeah. I mean, it's raining again. Oh.
Yeah.
But he is like a drug addict, Dr. Shopping. It is a sickness. And that's the weird part of the whole thing, is that it isn't normal if you are a person of some renown that you would use that methodology to engage in sexual trysts.
It is weird.
It's self-destructive. It's the kind of thing that you'd have to know would eventually bring the house down. Bite by the foundations, cave in.
It's playing with fire.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not smart. So, yes, that's what, whatever the punishment is, but this guy's got a problem. And if it's not addressed, it's going to continue.
Now, I'm not defending him, but I think when you're, I'm not saying like, oh, they're elite and they can do anything, but when you're at that status, you tend to have a lot of females, and I think he just kind of got a little sloppy, because I think if you ask the average NFL guy or actor how many women they've slept with in the past 17 months, I guarantee it'll be a number a little close to that. So I think the public's kind of seeing the world that they live in. And I'm not defending if he forced them to do that, but you have to realize these people live a different type of life than we do and
Oh, I
encounter a
agree
lot more
totally.
people.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to their heads, and they have, you know, a 26-year-old guy has, you know, it would be like having the all-you-can-eat buffet round the clock anytime you want. And, you know, that's what life is. For a lot of these athletes, it's big car collections, big houses, big parties, pretty women, entourages, and same thing with fighters. This is historically, you know, that's the way it is. And no, I don't think any of us could relate to that. I mean, I'd be scared to death, you know? It's like, just to protect what little I have, I would be like scared to death. But there's this thing that these athletes think that their lives are going to go on like this forever.
It's a culture thing. It starts as low as middle school. When you have these middle school, you know, workouts, and you got these college recruiters coming and saying, "Oh man, when you're a freshman and you're a sophomore, we're going to offer you," and they start sucking your dick, you know, metaphorically, not literally, obviously, and they start telling you how great you are, and then you get to college, and now, again, I agree with NIL, but it needs to be done right, and it's not right now. So you have colleges now saying, "Oh my gosh, you're the greatest. We'll offer you X million dollars to come to this college." And the dick sucking continues. So, yeah, I mean, when you train up a system in this way to where it's just nonstop, you're so great, you can do no wrong. Of course this happens. And it happens with multiple people. Deshaun Watson was the one who got caught. And if you think it's just him, you're fucking ridiculous. It happens with so many people.
You know, the thing about Robert Kraft, DBO, is so bizarre. The man has so much money that he could, through whatever means necessary, hire a woman who was a prostitute, but who's quiet and who nobody would ever know.
Yep.
And nobody would want to know, because nobody would want to envision a marshmallow going into a piggy bank. Nobody wants to. Yeah, nobody wants to see that. But what's weird about it, again, is that why would a guy driving a big fancy car, you know, being limousined in to a strip center Jack Shack? I mean, what could he possibly be thinking? Except, I'm Robert Kraft, I wear the American flag on my lapel, and I can get away with anything. He's no different than the fucking players. I'm impervious. And then he proves it by not only not getting any punishment, but a little slap on the wrist. They actually burned the films. They destroyed. They had it all on camera. That should have been all over. Why didn't TMZ bid on that?
Paid off.
I mean, it's just crazy how this works. And I've been reading people, "Oh, you know, there's going to be videos of Deshaun Watson," you know, and it's like, there were videos of Robert Kraft. They were intentionally destroyed.
Yeah, and I just think this is just going to be kind of the thing, because I mean, this is the cost of getting a guy with this much, and people have to realize the lawyer for the women, he's every day calling and looking for more and more people, because like you said, after the HBO show, they're just doing pressure and pressure just to force him to settle.
Now, I don't think my head's in my ass. I've had attorneys who represented me in business who were honest people. I think when you're in the business of doing civil actions like this, it gets real dodgy. Truth gets stretched. Sensationalism becomes, you know, the word of the day. But I'll make one other comment before I finish up on the program. you can say all lawyers are crooks and pull my head out of my ass. But Scott, I don't know you. But if you believe, if you voted, that the person that you voted for has any of your interests at heart, then boy, your head is so far up your own ass, there ain't nobody going to be able to pull it out with a goddamn tractor. The fact of the matter is, it isn't just all lawyers are crooks. The federal government is bought and paid for.
Yep.
They raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they got money from all kinds of special interest people to incorporate beneficial things for those businesses. And one I ran into with my divorce, I had to go out and find a new credit card, okay? And you got to apply for a credit card. And it's like, you know, and they're doing like credit checks on me. I said, I don't have any credit because I don't owe anybody any money. Everything I own paid cash for. And you can look at my financial statements. And what you realize is you look at the bottom and it's like 29.9% APR. It's like, that's what fucking Shylocks were doing. Sorry, it's anti-Semitic, Mr. Shakespeare. But that's what these thieves were doing when they were just jacking up rates. Well, there was a restriction, a limit that used to be imposed on credit card companies. It was a twofold thing. The APR they could charge had to be held back to a certain level, and that at the time, this was a couple of decades ago, if you filed for bankruptcy, you were protected against the credit card companies. Well, they got those laws all changed. So now if you declare bankruptcy, they can still harass you. And there's no limit on how much these assholes can charge as far as, interest on the damn things. And the reason this happens is because their money gets these people elected, and all the legislation that gets passed is for specific special interests. And you, Scott Munichi, get fucked in the ass. All right? And that is rape. That is rape. When the American public is scorned for not voting, and when an old feeble fuck like Joe Biden, who had 3% of the vote, gets all of the money for the Democratic National Committee, and you're saying, Mr. Moohead, you're not a Republican. I know. The Democratic National Committee threw all of this special interest money, everything they had, they put everything into the pot in the middle of the table. And they ran Joe Biden, who is feeble-minded. You know it. I know it.
It's running off of a name. It's what happens in politics.
And the rest of the world knows it too, but it happens here too.
And that's the sorry state of things. It's not just lawyers. It's the people we have elected. And I was telling somebody that, all these people who are crazy with these guns going into schools and shooting people, going into bars and shooting people, could we at least give them some kind of a GPS to where the Congress is? Because to be honest with you, they have destroyed everything decent about this country. So we live in a society full of lies, and we live lies every day of our lives. So it isn't
like
just
sands through the hourglass.
When you say something over and over and over and over, it becomes true to some people.
Yeah, well, I'd like to tell you, DBO, but no, he's not innocent. No. I mean, what he's guilty of is what he's going to be, charged with. And it's not going to be the NFL that metes out that punishment. And it will be a monetary thing in civil action. But there's something wrong with the guy, and it needs to be addressed in his personal life. That I know. Al, we're doing this. We're doing lawyer jokes now. How can you tell a lawyer is lying?
Oh, no,
His lips are moving.
Yeah, that's.
All right, so all right, I'm done with everything today. I hope I've addressed almost every conceivable angle about this story, so I don't have to go over this again. So the people, I had somebody write to me and say, "Boy, you're kind of mum on the subject now, aren't you, Mr. Moohead?" It's like, I'm not mum on it at all.
You're fucking numb on it now. I mean, I'm numb.
Yeah,
Everyone's numb.
what the guy did was wrong, and he's going to be punished for what he did. And I'm not going to sit here and say this many millions of dollars is too much, this many games is too many. I'm just going to look at Jimmy Haslam and say, is there any way that we can convince you to sell this team? Is there any way to get you out of there? Because everything bad starts with him. Everything. And it's been that way since the moment he came here.
Just listen to his press conferences.
The guy, how could you do worse than Randy Lerner? How could you do worse?
I mean, who's going to buy this team, though? Is Elon Musk going to come in and buy this team? I mean, the whoever they get to buy the team's going to be probably just as bad as Lerner and Haslam. That's the thing.
What Cleveland billionaires are there? Is there anybody that you can think of?
Well, there used to be a lot of them until they left town. Like the Rockefellers started in Cleveland. A lot of people started in Cleveland.
No. I got to get out of here because it's time for me to eat my dinner. But I did want to address this program because there's so much stuff being said. And I really want people to choose words a little more carefully. Because if you don't know what rape is, you're going to end up being introduced to it, and you will understand when it happens to somebody close to you. You will understand the difference between what we have with Deshaun Watson and what we have with forcible rape. You will see the difference. But the fact is that Deshaun Watson has a problem. And the problem isn't whether he's going to play football or not. The problem is a psychological problem that has to be dealt with. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio. Bronk, Double P, Derek, we'll get back online again on Monday, and we'll assemble and talk about things that are of more significance than this.
What possibly is going to happen over this weekend? There's just like the Celtics and the Warriors.
Yep.
And this golf thing. I mean, American sports suck at the moment. Can I
say
that?
How about Al Horford showing up yet again? That guy's fucking insane.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. I mean, that's the kind of stuff of which legend is built, And now the Warriors look like with Steph Curry hurting. But I've heard the Steph Curry little bobblehead thing, I'm hurt. And then he'll go out and go off for 48 points. Like, oh, Steph, he's the best ever.
He is so annoying.
It's like if fucking Vince McMahon shit. Don't believe him. Celtics, don't believe him. It's like, Mr. Bond, I could kill you right now. Then do it. Do it. Kill Mr. Bond because Mr. Bond is going to live and kill you. Do you understand? Blofeld. They could stop. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, bastards. Good night. Take it easy.